Now let's get into some good game today. I'm going to read some listeners' emails. And I'm going to flow straight from the Survival Scrolls. Now today's show, the topic is immature females. There's a lot of immature females running around, and I've been hearing a lot of guys complaining, and I've been getting a lot of emails from guys complaining about the influx of immature women running around the country. And I'm going to touch on that. Now I want to read one of my listeners' emails. This is from a brother named Greg. What's up, Greg? Greg is a partner of mine. I know Greg, and Greg is cool people, but Greg is always having female problems. Greg sent an email saying that he was dealing with this young lady. This young lady is cool. We went out on a couple of dates. She seemed like she has her head together, but I've caught her in a couple of lies. The email goes on to say, one lie I caught her in, the main lie, because she lies about being certain places at certain times. Small petty lies that I'm not really tripping on, but there's one major lie, or a lie that I consider major, and I wanted to get your opinion about it. Should I take this seriously or not? This young lady I was dealing with, she said that she doesn't still talk to her ex-boyfriend. Well, recently I found out that she was corresponding with her ex-boyfriend, and she told me that she was corresponding with him because she was going out of town, and she has a cat, and she didn't want to leave the cat at home alone, so she had her ex watch her cat for her. So, Flex, what's your opinion on this? Should I believe her, or should I have suspicions about this woman? Signed, Greg. Well, let me say this, Greg. That ex-boyfriend of hers, he's watching a cat, all right. Oh, he's watching pussy. Oh, he's watching some pussy, all right. He's definitely watching pussy, but this pussy ain't got 4 legs and a tail. The pussy he's watching has 2 legs and a weave. This woman is still banging that ex-player. And the fact that she's telling little bullshit lies, little white lies, that's a major red flag. And I'm afraid that you might have to just charge this broad to the game, man. You just have to charge it to the game, and a lot of women are just, a lot of females aren't really woman enough to just be straight up and down with their game. And some guys just have to accept that. But charge it to the game, player. Don't trip about it. She's fucking that ex, homie. She's definitely fucking her ex. So charge her to the game. Now I'm going to read another email from a brother on MySpace. This is Roddy Rod. What's up, Roddy Rod? Roddy Rod sent a very good email in, and let me try to paraphrase some of it because it's kind of long. He says, what's up, Tariq? I'm going to get right into it. I got a question, and I know that you can give an answer to. Well, it's kind of like a problem. I'm a 30-year-old single male. I got my own shit, got my car, got my house, got a great job. My problem is I have a hard time getting females between the ages of 20 and 29. But I have no problem pulling the Stellas, the 30 and beyonds. I mean, the Stellas literally throw themselves at me. Now, I don't know what the damn thing is with these young women here in Jackson, Mississippi. It seems like all these bitches want snap, crackle, and pop niggas, i.e., Franchise Boys, T-Pain, etc., etc., the snap dance type niggas. If it ain't that, you got niggas around here who's literally putting maggot hoes up on pedestals, which is really messing the game up. Case in point, I could be at a restaurant out here and these young niggas would just lay a stack of money out on the table and ask a female what she want to do. Now, how is a nigga like me, who ain't pulling shit out my pocket, going to compete with these trick niggas and these snap niggas out here? I mean, I could just bounce, but it ain't that easy to let a good job like the one I have go. There are a lot of educated, broke bitches around here living at home with their mom or living 5 deep who are just as broke as them. Basically, do I stick with the Stellas? How can I turn the tables and get some of the younger chicks without changing who I am? Signed, Roddy Rod. Now, Roddy Rod raised some very, very good points. We do have a lot of niggas out here tricking, and it's somewhat hard for the average player to compete with that. Now, an advanced player knows how to work around that, but there's a lot of simping and tricking going on. You got like songs about tricking, like T-Pain, and I like T-Pain's style, but some of the shit that brother be singing about is just ridiculous. Every song he sings is like a trick simp song. He's in love with a stripper, buy you a drink. I mean, goddamn. So you have a lot of brothers, especially in the South, that's making it rain on broads and throwing money at them and just competing with one another to be tricks. So I know in a lot of smaller cities that's very difficult to compete with. But an advanced player knows how to work around that. Because if you're thorough in the game, you would avoid women who associate with dudes like that anyway. Because a real true to the game female ain't gonna really be around too much simping because she has her shit together. Now, the operative is to find that needle in the haystack, women who have their shit together like that, which is very rare. Let's just keep it real. We always hear about these balling, educated, mythological ass women, but you never ever see them. It's like Bigfoot. You hear about the motherfucker, you see footprints every blue moon, but you never see that nigga. And fine, educated women with money, they're like Bigfoot. They're like Yeti. They're like the goddamn Loch Ness Monster. You have sightings, but you don't see an abundance of them. So I feel your pain, player. That's a major problem in the game right now. And it all boils down to immature women. There's a lot of immature women out here. And I talked about this on a few shows before. When I wrote The Art of Mackin' 7 years ago, I was talking about the best types of women to get with are women between the ages of 23 and like 27. Now that's not the case anymore. Because the game has changed now. The game changes about every 5 years. There's different entities that causes paradigm shifts in the game. Now, in 2007, a lot of women in their 20s were born in the 80s. So we have a lot of grown crack babies. And you can see it in the attitude of a lot of these women. They were raised by crackheads, a lot of them. Or they're raised by young, immature parents who instill that immature ideology into them. So dealing with a 20-something woman these days is really not the business no more. It's not the business like it used to be. Truth be told, and I think I talked about this the other day, a lot of women who are like 18 and 19 are coming correct. Because a lot of women are in that rebellious stage and they're rebelling against their bullshit parents. But you got to catch them at a certain time. The game is real tricky now, man. It's really, really tricky. But a lot of women now in their 20s, because you have the crack baby thing, the grown crack baby phenomenon, and you have the simp-ass nigga phenomenon, a lot of women in their 20s don't have their minds right like they used to. And the thing is, they have these immature demands. It's like they have this attitude like somebody owes them something. Like kids, you know, like babies, they just want whatever they want whenever they want it. They expect everybody to just give it to them. But when you're an adult, it just doesn't work like that when you're dealing with other real adults. That's why a lot of women in their 20s have to date immature guys. They have to date these snap dancing type niggas. These hanging on the corner, pants sagging type niggas. They have to date that because men who have it together aren't going to fuck with them like that. I mean, and I've talked, I deal with women all the time, and a lot of women that I'm talking to or that I meet in their 20s, it's like I'm looking at them like they're aliens. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You got a lot of demands, but you really have no assets. You have nothing to back up your demands. You want a lot of stuff, ladies in your 20s, and I'm talking to the ladies in the 20s because a lot of ladies in their 20s listen to the show. You got to step your game up if you're trying to get a man of means. I had a woman I'm going to talk about a couple of instances that I've had. One is as recent as today, actually. But one lady I met, we were chopping it up, and she's all right. Had a nice little body on her. She's like 24 years old, but the more I talked to her, her conversation just started getting whacked. She had this attitude like she was a little flyer than what she really was, and that shit was a turnoff. I mean, she had a banging body, but she was the kind of broad that too many young niggas done pumped her head up to made her think that she was fly than what she really was, and she wasn't that motherfucking fly. And I'm kind of looking at her like she was crazy. Not only wasn't she wasn't that fly in the face, she had a banging body, I'll give her that, but the bitch, her breath smelled funny too. And had this attitude like a motherfucker's supposed to roll out the red carpet for her. I'm like, come on now, give me a break. This motherfucker breath was horrendous. It was horrific. I had to look in the dictionary to find a new word for her breath. It was horrific. It was a hot mess. Her breath smelled like a miniature skunk was in her throat doing Tybo. Smelled like a skunk just worked up a sweat in her mouth. On some wannabe diva shit. Give me a break. But fellas, y'all got to start checking these broads, man, and just letting them know that you're not that nigga. You're a grown-ass man. If they step to you, they got to be on some grown woman shit. You're not going to play no games with them. Especially these hood rats, man. That kills me. These hood rats be making demands. Like, they ain't got nothing to offer, nothing to bring to the table, but expect niggas to roll out the red carpet and be on some Prince Charming shit, on some Cinderella shit. With a whole list of demands, with a whole laundry list. You want a man who's working, want a man to take you out. Women talking about they want men to spoil them. And you living in the projects with your mama. Players, y'all just got to start stepping in these women and treating them like the zeros they are if they are zeros. Now, if a woman has her shit together, treat her like she has her shit together. But if you got a broad who can't rub two nickels together with whack conversation, stop pumping their heads up. Next time one of these hood rats start making all these unwarranted demands, I want y'all to bump this for him. Here, I got a song for you to bump for him. Bump this for him. Let them know what's happening.
Girl, you a hood rat. I'm not trying to get with you. So ghetto. Raised in the project. Coming to you. So ghetto. I'm talking about Section 8 cribs. I'm talking about a house full of kids. I'm talking about nappy weeds. I'm talking about government cheese. Girl, you a hood rat. And I'm not trying to
bump that for him.
get with you.
That's what you bump for him.
You're so ghetto.
Stop playing with these hood rats. Y'all stop playing with these hood rats, fellas. That is not the business.
I'm talking about
Change my music. But the problem is, fellas, like I was saying, we have a lot of immature women out here And too many simp brothers are enabling the immature behavior of a lot of these women. That's the problem. I'm going to bring it back to the guys because women are natural followers and women do what they're allowed to do. We have a lot of immature, low expectation dudes who are raised by single mothers teaching them how to be simps, making these dudes lower their standards. Guys have very low standards now. They don't hold women up to a higher standard like they used to back in the day. You got dudes out here that's tricking for raggedy broads, sporting fat bitches. You remember back in the day, if you wanted to bang a fat broad, you would have to do it in shame. You would do it on the low. You know what I'm saying? People would bang fat broads back in the day, but you would do it in secrecy, like you're supposed to. You would keep her hidden in a dungeon somewhere like Quasimodo or Igor, Frankenstein or some shit. You wouldn't be sporting her. Now niggas are sporting fat broads. Niggas are sporting out-of-shape ass broads, putting them up on pedestals. Y'all niggas have got calendars of fat bitches. That Buffy the Body broad? Come on. Buffy the Body is a mess. I hate to talk about folks, but come on. That broad is fat. It ain't thick. Y'all niggas putting shit like that up on a pedestal. That's a goddamn shame. And I don't like calling anybody out. God bless that woman for doing whatever she has to do, but yeah, come on now. Niggas, step it up. And it's becoming a problem for the real players to put some real game down because all these niggas are undercutting the game. Especially in the South, in these southern cities. The game is still pretty well maintained to a degree out here on the West Coast. The standards are pretty high because there's a beautiful woman coming to LA on the Greyhound bus every 8 minutes. So women have to be on their P's and Q's out here. But when I go to other cities and I hear reports from other cities, a lot of niggas be rolling out the red carpet for these broads. And I hear a lot of lackluster women in LA be saying shit like, men in LA, I don't like men in LA. I get a lot of love on the East Coast. I get a lot of love down South. I bet you do. Because those dudes are used to banging fat broads and competing over lackluster broads. So you go out there and you're a dime, but you out here, you're a 7 or a 6. But I digress. And back to the immaturity thing. Again, fellas, a lot of women are being enabled by simp niggas. So what you want to do, fellas, you want to avoid immature women who don't want to step their game up. Now, women who are 18 and 19, it's acceptable for them to be somewhat immature because they're young. But a lot of women in that age group, they want to learn some good game. So their minds are open. They want to be upgraded. Now, when women get around 20, 21, the kind of dudes they deal with, that's going to set the tone for the rest of their lives. So I'm going to give my brothers 3 good tips on how to avoid immature women. Now, tip number 1, fellas, you want to avoid women who live at home with their parents. Women in their 20s. Women of any goddamn age, to be honest. You want to avoid women in their 20s or women of any age who lives at home with their parents. Because if a woman is at home with her parents, she's going to regress back into an immature mind state. In her mind, she's still in high school. The parent-child dynamic is still going to be into play in her mind. And if she's staying with her parents, she really doesn't have any kind of real responsibility. She's not really paying rent. She's not paying bills. So she has a lot of idle time to kind of fuck around and still act like she's in high school. Every woman that I've ever met who stays at home with their parents have a certain level of immaturity. It shows. Trust me. It's like night and day, fellas. A woman who stays on her own versus a woman who lives with their parents, it's night and freaking day. Trust me. Fuck what they say. So you want to avoid that. If a woman is living alone, that means she has some level of responsibility. That means she has bills, so her time is a little more valuable, so she's not going to be as much of a bullshitter. All right? Now, number 2, the women to avoid are women who have had a history of dating immature or zero niggas. You can always tell the kind of woman a female is by looking into her dating background. Find out the kind of niggas that she's used to dealing with. If her last boyfriends were on some hanging on the corner, driving around in the Cutlass Oldsmobile, showing off their rims, that type of nigga, that's not the kind of woman you want to deal with. A female is a reflection of the niggas she deal with. So if the last niggas she was dealing with, or the last few dudes she was dealing with, were like low budget, local Yoko on the corner type niggas who sat around playing Xbox and Sega and whatever, PS3 or whatever, that has a reflection of her. That shows a reflection of her. She's going to be somewhat immature to even hang around that. And number 3, another immature type of female to avoid, another clue that might give you an idea that a female may be somewhat immature, if a female hangs around way too many other females. Women who are somewhat mature kind of do their own thing. I like to give the analogy of panthers and hyenas. Hyenas are scavengers. They run in packs. Panthers are hunters. They hunt alone. Panthers, that's a more mature animal to me. And a woman who hangs by herself and she ain't really running with a whole bunch of other broke bitches, it shows that she's not codependent. She can do her own thing. She can make her own decisions. She's easier to deal with. Women who hang in packs are usually very susceptible to peer pressure. Women who hang in packs are really on some party girl, high school shit. We're still in high school, we're still in college shit. So you kind of want to avoid that, because women who hang around a lot of other females, there's a saying that when you date a woman, you date her and her friends. And so you don't want to have 9 or 10 other females in your chick's ear. Because that's what happens when you have a female just hanging around a whole bunch of other hens. All of them have some kind of influence on her. And to a real player, that's a sign of weakness. So you want to avoid that. But fellas, really step it up and really start checking some of these simp niggas who's messing the game up and brown nosing and enabling a lot of the immature behavior from some of these women. And fellas, if you're in a city like my boy Roddy is, where there's a lot of simping going on, and I know it's difficult for a lot of brothers to just up and move, but what you might have to do is go to cities close by where you live and just kind of change your surroundings every now and then. You might have to start importing some dimes in. You have to do some import work. You got to bring them on in. Because some cities are just whack like that. But in all cities, you have some upscale spots and you have some low budget spots. You have to stop hanging around in the same spots. Now, I know in some cities it's like finding a needle in a haystack. Sometimes you just have to take your game on the road. It's inevitable. Meet a girl like a couple of hours away, have her come down and kick it with you on the weekend. You might have to do it that route. You know, the world is big, man. You don't have to just be confined to your little bullshit area. If the bras are whack, they're just whack. Just don't settle. Fuck it. Hit the road on the weekend. There's a big world out there. Go down to Brazil. Bring one of them motherfuckers back. Do something. It's a big world out there. Go down to Ethiopia. Get one of them little hungry motherfuckers a sandwich and bring her back. There's a big world out there, homie. Don't just settle for bullshit. Don't settle for no hood rat with a bunch of unwarranted demands. Fuck that. You're right for questioning that. You're right for not wanting to go for that.